So welcome back, everyone. We are talking about men with depression or men who struggle with it or don't understand it. First off, let me say I appreciate everyone's support. Publicly and privately, it's a touchy topic, and I hope people are getting a lot out of it, men and women. Anybody who's got a man in their life, I hope you're getting something out of it. In the last couple of videos, I talked about a personal example where I could see it showing up at home. My ignorance, fear, and shame, and how my depression began to show up at home and really impact my youngest son. His response to that on that day was a game changer for me, because what he asked me to do required me to not just swallow my ego, my pride, but to really show forgiveness for myself and for other people. And so what is, unforgiveness have to do with depression? In no way am I attempting to redefine what depression is. I'm telling you what my journey was. And once I got past the ignorance, shame, and fear, like I've spoken to in previous videos, I found root causes. And one of them was an attitude, a spirit of, whatever you want to call it, of unforgiveness. And I'll never forget when I was going through traditional therapy, one of the things that came out of traditional therapy that really helped me, that took me a lot of time to get to, was a question to me: have you ever gone back and grieved the loss of your father? Now, he's still alive, but he wasn't there. So essentially, I did lose him. I lost him in a different way. He was never there for my brother and my sister, my older brother and sister. And I told my response when I was like, yeah, when I was 23, I sat a teddy bear down and I forgave him. And she was like, nah, that's not what I'm talking about. She called BS on me, to be honest with you. She was talking about going back and grieving, listing the losses that were stolen, listing the losses that were taken, listing the losses that were cheated, whatever that was or could have been as a result of him not being there. And when she said that, it was hard to hear. I wasn't ready for that, because the truth of the matter was, what she could see in me was that I was blaming my dad. To be honest, I was blaming God, my creator, for what I didn't have with my dad and what I didn't get from my dad. Into my 30s and 40s, I was assessing blame to somebody I'd never had a relationship with and somebody I couldn't see. And so it took me about a year. I sat down with about 20 sheets of paper. The first one I ever sat down with, I had ripped up in complete anger, but took time and wrote down everything that I didn't have, or everything that I would have had. All the entitlement stuff, all the stuff, a young boy should have from a father. The tennis matches that he missed, the football games he missed, the camera he didn't hold at prom, the grandchildren that he never held, all 4 of them. I mean, the list was thick, and they were tear-drenched. It took a long time, but I spent time grieving those losses that I never had. And that was a big key for me, because that helped me see the connection between unforgiveness and grieving and genuinely releasing somebody of a debt they could never repay in my depression. Because quite simply, I was carrying stuff that depressed my soul, impressed, in not in a positive way, my spirit, depressed my heart. So I'm going to talk about other root causes that I found for my depression. Unforgiveness is at the top of that list, because it's very insidious in terms of what it does to relationships. Most of you probably know this, some of you may not. What happens with unforgiveness that I've seen is ultimately it turns into bitterness, the inability for the heart to feel in an area that needs to grow or release debts. I'm not here to be anyone's conscience. I'm sharing my conscience with what I went through. Forgiveness is something that's personal for everybody. Nobody can tell anybody to forgive. It is an act of the will to do that. But I definitely saw the connection between unforgiveness and depression, and how it was keeping me in that state once I could see past the ignorance, the fear, and the shame. I hope this has been helpful. We'll talk soon. Take care.